There's a moment, quiet, invisible, that happens before the guilt kicks in. You've barely opened your eyes. The morning sun filters through the curtains, the house is still, and everything should feel possible. But it doesn't. You lie there, unmoving, not because you don't want to get up, but because you can't. And it's not your body that's resisting, it's something heavier, something behind your ribs, in your chest, in the folds of your mind. You scroll your phone, you put it down, you pick it back up. Time slips away like water through your hands. And then comes the whisper. Why can't you just get moving? Everyone else seems to manage. Are you just lazy? It's a voice you've heard before. Maybe it started outside, things parents said, teachers implied, bosses observed. But over the years, you've made it your own. It now lives inside you, and it's relentless. But here's the truth. You are not lazy. You are emotionally tired. And there is a world of difference between the two. Emotional fatigue is a quiet thief. It doesn't look dramatic. You don't have visible bruises or broken bones. You still smile when people talk to you. You still answer texts. From the outside, you seem fine. But inside, it feels like you're holding up 100 invisible weights, each one tied to a different story. A fight you didn't resolve. A loss you never got to grieve. The constant tension of pretending to be okay. The demands of work, family, finances. The fear of disappointing others, or worse, yourself. And over time, those weights add up. They don't crash down all at once. They simply erode your energy, like waves wearing down a shoreline. Until one day, brushing your teeth feels like a task too big, and answering an email like scaling a mountain. You think you're being lazy, but your nervous system is just begging for rest. Let's pause here. Think back to the last time you truly rested. Not just sleeping in on a Sunday, not zoning out in front of a screen, but the kind of rest where your brain wasn't rehearsing future conversations or reviewing past regrets. The kind of rest where your body softened, where your breath felt slow and safe, where you didn't feel like you were failing something by doing nothing. Has it been a while? For most of us, the answer is yes. Because we live in a world that doesn't honor emotional rest. It praises hustle. It celebrates output. It rewards those who keep going no matter the cost. And if you stop, even for a moment, you're seen as weak, unproductive, lazy. But humans aren't machines. We weren't designed for constant doing. We are meant to feel, to process, to be. So when your body says, I can't, maybe, just maybe, it's trying to protect you. Maybe it's whispering, you've carried too much for too long. Please put it down, even if just for a little while. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that rest must be earned. That peace is a reward for productivity. That you can only slow down when the to-do list is empty, the inbox is clear, the house is clean, the goals are met. But what if that's never going to happen? What if the list will always refill itself? What if the world was never built for your stillness, but for your output? And what if waiting to feel enough before you allow yourself rest is the very thing burning you out? Here's something hard but necessary to hear. You don't need to justify your exhaustion. It doesn't have to come with bullet points and proof. You don't need to fall apart in public for your tiredness to be valid. You don't need a diagnosis or a permission slip. You are allowed to be tired simply because you are tired, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You're allowed to say, I can't today, even if all you did yesterday was exist. That's the part we don't talk about enough. How exhausting just existing can be when you're carrying invisible grief. when you're pretending to be okay in rooms where you're not, when you're holding back tears for the sake of other people's comfort, when you're constantly absorbing the pain of those you love while having no space for your own, when the news cycles bleed with tragedy and you're too empathetic to look away. Of course you're tired. Of course you're not bouncing out of bed. Of course your brain says, maybe later, more than let's go. It's not weakness. It's not laziness. It's emotional overload. You were never meant to do this much, feel this much, endure this much, alone. But we've all gotten so good at hiding it. We post our smiles and filter our exhaustion. We answer, I'm fine, before we even know how we feel. And maybe you've even started to believe it, that tiredness is just who you are now, that maybe you're just not motivated anymore, that you've lost your spark. But the truth is, your spark is still there. It's just buried under layers of chronic emotional labor. So what would happen if, instead of shaming yourself for not doing more, you gave yourself credit for surviving what you did? What if you looked at your tired self with compassion instead of criticism? What if you whispered, hey, I see how hard it's been. I see how strong you've had to be, and I'm not mad at you for needing rest. How different would your days feel if your inner voice sounded more like a friend and less like a drill sergeant? Let's be honest, there are seasons when brushing your teeth is a win, when getting out of bed is a victory, when putting on clean clothes is progress. And that's not dramatic. That's reality for many. So let's rewrite the scoreboard. Instead of ran 5 miles, cleaned the house, finished a project, try took a deep breath, drank water, chose to be gentle with myself. Some days, surviving is the bravest thing you do, and it deserves to be recognized. Because when you're emotionally tired, even joy can feel heavy. Even hope can feel far. But both are still possible, still waiting, still within reach. You don't need to be fully healed to take one small, kind step toward yourself. And maybe that's where this new week begins. Not with ambition, not with hustle, but with a simple, quiet truth. You're not lazy. You're just trying to find your way back to yourself. Sometimes the real work of healing isn't in what you do. It's in what you let go of. Letting go of the need to explain your fatigue. Letting go of the guilt you feel when rest becomes your only goal. Letting go of the shame that whispers you're falling behind, when you know deep down you've been holding things together in ways no one sees. This week, what if you approached your life not like a race to catch up, but like a fragile garden trying to recover from too many storms? You don't rush a garden. You don't yell at it to grow faster. You don't shame it for needing sunlight or softer soil. You just give it space. You water it gently. You trust that healing takes time and quiet, and so do you. Here's your invitation. Start this week with softness. Start it not with a list of goals, but with a list of needs. Ask yourself, what hurts right now? Where do I feel tight, overwhelmed, or numb? What would soothe me, even a little? It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's a slower morning. Maybe it's drinking water before coffee. Maybe it's stepping outside to feel the breeze on your face. Maybe it's texting a friend, not to perform connection, but to say simply, I miss you. Can we talk soon? This is not about fixing your life. This is about being with your life, honestly, gently, fully. Because when you allow yourself to show up just as you are, tired, messy, uncertain, something beautiful happens. You start to feel human again, not a productivity machine, not a disappointment in disguise, but a whole, feeling, worthy human doing their best. And that matters. So here's what I hope for you this week. I hope you wake up and don't measure your worth by how quickly you move. I hope you don't apologize for needing slowness. I hope you find little anchors throughout your day, a warm drink, a deep breath, a safe smile. And I hope you remember that the world is not entitled to your constant strength. You don't have to be okay all the time. You don't have to keep up with people who aren't carrying what you are. You don't have to explain why you're tired. You just get to be. And in that being, in that radical, quiet act of saying, "This is where I am today," you begin to heal. You begin to come home to yourself, not by pushing, but by listening. If no one has said this to you lately, let me be the one. I'm proud of you. For waking up today, for reading these words when it would have been easier to scroll past, for not giving up on yourself, for caring enough to ask, "Is this all there is?" And for being open to the idea that, no, this isn't all there is. There is more. More softness, more breath, more mornings where you feel a little lighter, more evenings where your mind isn't racing, more days where your body says thank you instead of I'm done. You are not lazy. You are emotionally tired. And that is nothing to be ashamed of. It's simply a sign that you've been surviving without enough space to feel. This week, give yourself that space. Give yourself the grace you've been so quick to give others. And watch what blooms when you stop demanding and start allowing. Because your tired heart is not broken. It's just asking for a little peace. And that is a beautiful place to begin again. Wherever you are in your week, I hope you carry this reminder with you. You are not behind. You are not lazy. You are a human being doing your best. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let yourself rest. See you next one.